Now, in today's currency report, the global currency debate continues. Leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, and China have said they are looking to diversify their dollar-heavy currency reserves. That is raising questions about the dollar's status as the world reserve currency. Is this a real threat for the greenback, or is this just a blip here? Let's turn to Emma Lawson. She is a currency strategist at Morgan Stanley, joining us from her offices in London. Thanks for joining us, Emma. Let me ask you, first of all, about the talk about the reserve currency, the dollar strength there. Today, Nouri El-Roubini said the dollar's status as a sole reserve currency may deteriorate. Is there really a threat here that's so imminent? And if so, how does it affect your outlook?
Sure, and there has been a long debate about this, and it's probably the dollar is going to decline as a proportion of reserve assets, but that's going to happen over a very long time. The very nature of just talking about this, because reserve managers hold so many U.S. assets, is what causes the short-term volatility, but it is a long-term headwind for the dollar.
Let's talk about what happened, the news out of Russia yesterday, and really leaders of BRIC countries talking about dumping U.S. assets. The dollar, though, still accounts for more than 80% of foreign exchange holdings. Is it realistic that this changes in the near-term future? I mean, where else would governments keep their reserves?
Sure, and it will change. It has actually declined over the last 5 or 6 years, so that will continue. They will decrease their emphasis on dollars. And it's likely the other liquid large G3 currencies, so predominantly euro, will benefit from that change, and at the margin yen and some of the other G10 currencies. But again, this is a long-term feature of these markets. And the comments coming, we expect them to continue going through to the BRIC summit next week. And it is one way of getting a lot more attention to this issue about the dollar as a reserve asset. I mean, structurally, we think at the moment the dollar is under pressure, and it probably deserves to be so.
Will it remain under pressure? I mean, I almost hesitate to even use the phrase green shoots because it enrages a lot of viewers. But a lot of viewers are also very passionate that they see positives in the economy here in the U.S. and in the global economy. Do you buy the story?
Yeah, I mean, we will see an upturn in the global economy, but what that actually means is the vulnerabilities in the dollar are actually highlighted in focus. And that means you've taken away the systemic risks which were supporting the dollar, and you expose the problems from, say, an expansion in fiscal policy and the external debt side becomes a worry. And the rest of the world actually does benefit. A lot of currencies do benefit from an upturn or green shoots, as you say. So you can actually expect to see some strength in these reflation currencies such as Canada and Norway. And euro also gets supported from this factor.
Hey, you mentioned Canada. The dollar is down about 15% versus the loonie since March. It's down more than 11% versus the euro from a high in February. Do you expect some kind of correction soon?
There may be, because it has moved such a long way so quickly. But Canada, you know, it doesn't have the imbalances as the US does. It does get supported by an improvement in the economic outlook and the rise in oil prices. So we're really quite comfortable with a long Canada position.
Let me ask you about the commodities currencies. They have rallied, obviously, lately on the risk rally. Which are your favorites among this group here?
Yeah, again, with that grouping, we much prefer Canada and Norway. Far less fundamental imbalances, whereas places like Australia and New Zealand still have external deficits. They still have some of the weakness in their economies to flow through, the domestic imbalances. So we would much prefer to go with those better outlooks of Canada and Norway.
All right, hey, Emma, thanks for joining us. Emma Lawson there, currency strategist at Morgan Stanley. I want to remind our viewers, for the latest currency numbers and more currency stories, including full coverage of the world reserve currency debate, head to our website at Bloomberg.com.